Barcelona suffer a shock 2-1 defeat to Real Sociedad at the Real Arena, and Sociedad with an amazing defensive performance there, and you've just got to take your hat off to Sociedad. An unbelievable defensive performance. Down to 10 men and defending like that towards the end of the game was absolutely sensational. But where did it go wrong for Barcelona? That's all what we're going to be discussing today in this match reaction. Make sure you like this video, comment down below, and let us know your thoughts. Barcelona squandering so many chances. And as you can see from the thumbnail, Olmo, a poor performance from him, squandering so many chances one-on-one with the keeper. And this is what La Liga brings. An absolute crazy ending to that game. Barcelona trying to open up Sociedad. But let's get into this, because there are so many things to talk about. So many. And I've got to say it right now. This whole thing about Barcelona and trying to work the possession, trying to score the cutest goal, sometimes it doesn't work. Yamal made, I would say, a great effort on the outside to try and put and fizz crosses upon crosses into the box, low-driven crosses, and at the end of the day, there was no one in there to take their chances. No one with an ounce of finishing quality. Lewandowski with a header that was absolutely saved directly, point blank, by Ramiro, and Barcelona suffered a loss because of their lack of finishing quality today. Look, the midfield build-up, I could tell you now, was decent. The work to get into the final third, decent. But the final product from Barcelona was absolutely horrendous. Their finishing quality was absolutely horrendous. Olmo, horrendous. Absolutely point-blank chances. Yamal fizzes a ball right into him in front of Ramiro, and Olmo skies it like he's taking a rugby kick. That is where Olmo's mindset was today. When you're in front of goal, you cannot be missing that chance. Yamal cuts in a shot far post, and Ramiro scoops it out. A soft shot. May I remind you, Lewandowski point blank as well. Ramiro saves the day for Sociedad. Yes, Ramiro had a sensational game, but it was an absolute horrendous final third from finishing opportunities for Barcelona today. They had disallowed goals. Yes, the first disallowed goal, I would say, was bang on. Some slight contact, I know, can be given either way, but the contact was there on Kubo. And then obviously Fermin with a shot, a great shot, but disallowed. The second goal disallowed, I'm not entirely sure. That offside there was like this. Just the heel, the back of the heel was offside. I'm not entirely sure what the VAR refs were saying there, but for me personally, if it's that minuscule, it should really stand. So I'm not sure about their second disallowed goal. But when you're looking at it today, Barcelona and the fans alike, you need to be critical of the team. They did not finish their chances. They did not get the job done on the pitch. The disallowed goals may have been there. However, you did not get the job done on the pitch. That is as simple as it is. You really need to evaluate Barcelona in this play here against Sociedad. Sociedad pressing from the front. Barcelona sometimes in portions of the match struggling to work it out of their own half. And when they do, and they have chances to pass it into crucial areas, they didn't. Into oncoming areas where the momentum can carry them towards goal, they didn't. Koundé today had an absolute stinker and a half. The way his positioning was, for that cross came in, poor. He should be blocking that. 100%. Koundé had an absolute poor performance. João Cancelo, even on the cross that he gave in towards Koundé and it flashed at the crossbar, but towards the end of the game, he came on and he was making poor passes. Time and time again, fizzed out to Rashford into the throwing line, fizzed out to the right-hand side towards where Ronnie Baldaggi was and Yamal was, and fizzed outside to the throwing area. Not in the slightest. I tell you what, poor across the match in terms of their final end product, not good enough from Barcelona. And Hansi Flick will be definitely looking at evaluating this match and saying, this is not good enough. Nowhere near good enough from Barcelona. They should have taken their chances when they had them. Olmo had a string of chances, a string of them, and didn't take them. So this is the whole point of Barcelona today. You're in a stadium where the fans are against you, but you do not find the final product in that match. And that is it, simple. Was the luck against them today? You could say that. But I tell you what, doesn't matter about luck. In some situations, you need to be finishing. And today they didn't. Barcelona was nowhere near the caliber that they should have been to put it past Ramiro. There are tons of chances, believe me. But they didn't. They didn't take it. And they were poor. Barcelona were poor in that respect. Especially. Yeah? And Lamine Yamal today, a lot of people are going to be divided today. Some people will say that Lamine performed not to the best of his standard. Some people will say that Lamine Yamal performed greatly. You can either look at it different ways. But I tell you what. When Barcelona were in those areas and on the width of the pitch, they were fizzing balls into the box, into the center of that box, and no one was in there. Or it was getting deflected out for a throw-in or corner from Sociedad players. Barcelona were not clinical enough. That is what you have to understand. They were nowhere near clinical enough. You can say it's a robbery by the ref. For me personally, you have to do your duties on the pitch. You cannot look at the ref today for this. You cannot. The ref may have had his blunders. However, you need to be tucking your chances away when you have them, and they did not. The midfield control was completely gone, I would say. Pedri and De Jong, they did not look their very incisive self. They didn't make those passes into areas where they could really disrupt that defense. They were just out onto the flanks. That's all they were doing. When you're looking at Pedri and De Jong, you're looking at players that could really pass directly through the center and pass in between those lines, but they didn't. They were always consistently fizzing out wide and relying on Yamal and relying on Fermin Lopez when he was on the left to do the duties. Didn't work. It didn't work. Sociedad were too camped in the box. They were performing well. They were defending deep. And Barcelona, they did not finish their chances. People saying it's a generational robbery. It wasn't. It wasn't. We are looking at the match. You have to look at the chances that Barcelona had. They did not create the amount of chances they had to create. They did not put the chances away. That is final. The first one, and this is complete non-bias, guys. You have to take my opinion respectfully. The first goal, there was clear contact with Kubo. Clear contact from Dani Olmo. He clipped the back of his leg. The ball fizzed out to Fermin. Yes, Fermin scored the goal, but there was clear contact. Yamal, the second one, I can agree with you. That is nowhere clear offside enough. The back of the heel is this much. I've already said it at the beginning of this reaction. But where was the rest of the game? Where was the chance created? Where was the chances? And Yamal has been off this season. Barcelona fans need to know, but today he did turn up slightly. I would say when he's working out onto the outside of the area and trying to cut in, I tell you what, Yamal had chances himself to score. Yamal's not the same Yamal last year where he's cutting inside and lacing a shot, is he? He is going on the outside consistently, trying to work it. Last year, he would have taken players on directly in front of him and then shot from outside the box. He's not doing that this year. He's not doing that. But what he did today was still work the ball into the box. And this is what you need to realize. With Barcelona today, they worked the ball into the box. They had chances in the final third. But guess what? The finishing was poor. Olmo was right in front of the goal. And he missed it right in front of the goal. Skied it on top of the keeper. is, for his quality, a absolute stinker right there. Stinker right there. You have to admit that. Barcelona, they weren't clinical enough. They created chances, but they weren't clinical. They created enough. They weren't clinical. I've actually slated Madrid time and time again. Marseille, a perfect game. Not clinical in that match. Barcelona exactly the same today. They were not clinical from today. And this is what's happening. Olmo had chance in front of the keeper from a pass given to him right in front of Ramiro, and he tries to direct it near post. Ramiro makes a great save, but you should be tucking that away. That's factual. I'm sorry to get passionate here, but people watching the chat, you clearly need to understand where Barcelona was positioned today. They scored a goal, and their defense allowed Real Sociedad to come back into the game. That's what they did. They squandered that goal. They literally scored. A minute later, they conceded. That defensively is poor. They're not switched on in the head. They're not switched on. I'm not speaking bad on Barca. What I'm saying is that they were poor in the final third. They had chances and they squandered it. Olmo, the main culprit. He was a generational stinker from Olmo. He missed 4, 5, 6 clear opportunities to score. He had chances to work it in the box and he didn't. A very poor performance from Dani Olmo. Let's call it as it is. But when you look at Sociedad, they took their chances when they had it. If Barcelona, look at the amount of chances that Sociedad have. They took their chances. They were intensely pressing Barcelona from about the 70th minute. Then obviously they got the red card and then they stopped the press. They resided back. But Sociedad, in the second half, they were pressing Barcelona really well. Barcelona sometimes had struggled to work the ball out of their own defensive half. They performed brilliantly. They performed valiantly today, Sociedad. If you don't believe that Sociedad deserved even some remote points from today, then you are sorely mistaken. They took their chances when they had it. Ramiro had an absolute fantastic job today. He was probably the man of the match today, Ramiro. Absolutely. He saved Barca, he saved Sociedad time and time again. Absolutely crazy. Yeah? And I want to get this comment from Andrew. If Flick bottles the league to struggling Madrid side, then Flick out. I would say so. If Barcelona were to lose the league to a Madrid side led by Arbeloa, Flick serious questions need to be raised there. Serious questions. Serious questions. A monstrous performance from Barcelona of horrible opportunities squandered. Time and time again, opportunities squandered from Barcelona. Barcelona fans, you need to realize that you can't say, oh, it was a generational robbery. You got outdone. Barcelona got outplayed in terms of clinical chances. Sociedad had 2, 3, and they scored 2 of them. That's what happened. That's what happens when you have chances missed and missed and missed. Look at the first half, how many chances you had to score. And you didn't take them. Barcelona today, they did not look like themselves. I'm telling you this right now. They did not look. Was everything against them? No. You can't say everything was against you. When you score and then you concede immediately, that's your own doing. That's your own fault. That's Barcelona's own fault. Barcelona, to concede immediately after scoring is a critical defensive error of severe magnitude. Yamal created the Rashford goal, great. But the situation is, immediately after that, what happened? They conceded immediately. It didn't even take 1 minute for Sociedad to score again. They wanted it more, Sociedad. They defended resiliently. They defended with passion. They defended with effort. They put everything on the line for their fans in the stadium. And Barcelona, They were not good enough. I'm telling you this right now. They were not good enough. They weren't clinical. Let me tell you what. Something here. And I haven't mentioned it yet. If Rafinha was in this team, Barcelona would have won that game. That's the truth. If Rafinha was in the team, Barcelona would have won that game. Rafinha would have not allowed Barcelona to lose that game. He would have scored. The chances that Olmo had in those areas, Rafinha would have tucked them away. The counter-attacking opportunities that Barcelona had, where they had openings to pass into certain direction, and they decide to just drop back and then try and work and recycle the possession. They tried to make cute goals. That's not what you want. In these kind of games, you need to punch them hard, and they didn't. Rafinha didn't play because of a knee, a precaution to his knock to the knee. Rafinha would have won Barcelona that game single-handedly if he was on that pitch. This is crazy. You cannot blame the referee for anything today. People saying a referee robbery, you cannot do that when you have endless opportunities. I'm gonna go and research this because you did. Look at this here, right here, yeah. And I wish I could bring this on screen. Barcelona, yeah. People spamming in the chat, please don't do that. Yeah, time out. Okay, 5 minutes. Okay. People in the chat, Barcelona had 23 shots. 9 of them on target. 9. And they scored 1 goal. That is Barcelona's own doing. You cannot blame everyone else because that doesn't factor in the disallowed goals, does it? Because it's not in the run of play. The 9 shots you had on target, you should have tucked away about 3 of them. Barcelona had chances. They did not take their chances. That is as simple as. Anybody can argue with me, fine. But unfortunately, you were not clinical enough. That is factual. People saying it's a generational robbery is surely mistaken because you had the chance to tuck away Sociedad and you didn't. That's madness. Disallowed goals this, disallowed goals that, robbery this, robbery that. Trust me in this one, you had the chance to win this game. You didn't. That is where Barcelona lied today. They lied in their own self-inflicted pain. They inflicted this on themselves. It's worrying signs because when you have a team that sits back, Barcelona sometimes struggle. And without Rafinha in the team, where does the press go from Barcelona? Without Rafinha in the team, where does the press disappear? It looks disorganized at times. It doesn't look concrete enough to press Sociedad in those times. In that situation, they were poor. Barcelona were overall poor. And they did. I tell you what, you can say on the balance and things, they deserve to win the game. However, today, it was against the run of play that Barcelona conceded those goals. Both of them. Against the run of play. Barcelona was in the ascendancy. Sociedad score. They score, and then Sociedad score again. They were not switched on in those moments. Not switched on. Ferran Torres, guys. Let me talk about him. Because people seem to not talk about him. Ferran Torres. Where was he? Where was Ferran Torres today? Nowhere. Ferran Torres was a passenger, a statue in the middle of that striking area. He was nowhere. When the crosses were coming in, where was Ferran Torres to shoot? He shot once against Romero, and that's it. For the rest of the game, what did Ferran Torres do? Nothing. Nothing. Ferran Torres was a passenger. He was horrendous. You're going to call it out. I'm calling it out because Barcelona made severe critical errors today. Severe critical errors where they couldn't score. They couldn't score past Romero. They should have tucked away at least 3-4 goals today. That's factual, but they didn't. They had the disallowed goal, the second one. I've got to admit, I'm kind of in between that one. But I tell you what, this whole game today, They should have scored. They should have won that game, but they didn't. Barcelona failed on an opportunity to capitalize this January, and now Real Madrid go a point behind. That's what it was. Exactly. Ferran Torres was in the crowd watching the game. He's nowhere near Barcelona in terms of today's game where you need someone to make a difference. He didn't make that difference. Crazy. But guys, anyway, we move. That's pretty much obviously rounded up today's match reaction. Make sure obviously you subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. But yeah, we're going to be shutting off, guys. Take care, adios, and we'll see you next time on another Barcelona match reaction. Take care. This has been Dave Talks Barca. 2-1. It ends to Sociedad, and a very, very valiant effort for Sociedad. Brilliant defensive performance, and they, on the balance of things in terms of the runner play and getting your goals and becoming clinical, they deserve the win. Maybe Barcelona fans feel they deserve the win because of how they played, but unfortunately, it's what's on the score sheet, and Barcelona fans need to be looking at this serious team right here, right now.